Hey guys, welcome to our webinar. I'm Eting, who is one of the speakers for today's webinar. In this webinar, we will be mainly talking about the AWS migration journey, which includes the assessment phase, mobilizing phase, as well as migrate and modernize phase. Before we kickstart the AWS migration journey, I would like to give you a brief introduction of our company, G-AsiaPacific. G-AsiaPacific is a born-in-the-cloud company since 2008, and we have been engaging with AWS as their partner since 2013. In 2017, we became their advanced partner as we have enough public references such as Postphoto, Panini to showcase to our customer and AWS. So in 2019 and 2021, we have been awarded as a Consulting Partner of the Year for AWS. So what we provide is actually end-to-end cloud solution, from consultation to assessment to migration, and also post-deployment services. Not to forget, we do provide some solutions such as DR solution, backup solution, data analytics, IoT, AI/ML, and more. So here are some of the logos of our AWS happy customers, and logos such as Padini, TF Value Mart, Bioeconomy, Surat LCC, Oriental have actually been with us for more than 5 years. So not to drag your time, I'll pass this over to our AWS Partner Sales Leader, Megan. Megan, over to you.
Hi everyone, my name is Megan Taylor and I'm based in sunny Sydney, Australia. I'm responsible for co-selling with our AWS partner network across Asia Pacific and Japan. And I'm super excited to welcome you to this special event on Unlocking the Power of AWS, hosted by G-AsiaPacific. I'm looking forward to share, engage, and explore the many possibilities and advantages cloud computing offers and how it's redefining and reinventing businesses today. In this webinar, we'll cover how businesses like yours can leverage the cloud to digitize your business. You'll discover the technology and tools you need to enable global reach, building compelling digital applications that drive customer engagement, and better securing your business. We will finish by understanding how some of your peers have implemented the cloud and the benefits that they have achieved and lessons learned from their experiences. So let's get started. We need to look at the market today from the lens of the pandemic era and its impact. In 2023, companies are struggling with two major aspects: market challenges brought about by rising inflation that increase prices and reduce margins, making cost optimization even harder, and supply chain disruptions, which are leading to delays and adversely affecting profitability. Pandemic-induced uncertainty has increased both business and employee uncertainty. So we see things like the Great Resignation and also heightened customer expectations. In this scenario, digitization is the only respite. The need to adapt to the new normal and the long-term shift to remote working and hybrid working have pushed businesses to invest more in cloud solutions and accelerate their move to the cloud to facilitate these new ways of working. Additionally, businesses are relying on technology, particularly the cloud, to save costs, increase agility, the agility to respond to changing market needs, and enable robust security and bring new products and services to market faster. Cloud is the great equalizer. It gives businesses of all sizes access to the technology and services that enable you to respond to market changes, experiment with new ideas, and bring new products and services to market quickly and cost effectively. The cloud is a vehicle to take businesses on their digital transformation journey and get them to that destination. For example, businesses can add more computer resources with a few clicks, significantly reducing the time and expense to make those same resources available on-premise, increasing agility and speed. IT teams can now focus on projects that create business differentiation, instead of focusing on the infrastructure to enable data centers. The cloud also ensures business resiliency and continuity by provisioning for disaster recovery. Well, let's look at more significant benefits that impact the business, such as scalability. The ability to deploy apps quickly in multiple regions enables global expansion. Another necessary ingredient for digital transformation is access to implement emerging technologies, such as AI and ML. The cloud opens new doors to enable that. But getting on the cloud is not always a walk in the park. We understand your reluctance. There are numerous barriers in terms of migration roadmaps, how and where to get started, workload prioritization, cost consideration, security concerns, and skills gaps. AWS is striving to break these barriers and equip customers with solutions that not just fulfill your business needs, but also combat your challenges. Whether you want to optimize operations and save costs, or move into new markets, modernize your technology, and digitize your business, AWS has a clear roadmap for every stage of your journey to the cloud. AWS also empowers your workforce with the skills needed to develop and deploy new technology made possible by the cloud. That's why now more than ever, more and more customers from years on end have trusted their businesses with AWS, making it the most popular cloud amongst providers. So why should you trust AWS? Apart from being the first in the cloud computing domain, AWS is the world's most comprehensive and broadly adopted cloud platform. AWS has significantly more services and more features within these services than any other cloud provider, from infrastructure technologies like compute, storage, and database to emerging technologies such as AI and ML, data lakes and analytics, and IoT. Cloud-based AWS tools offer automated and built-in solutions for network and data security and configuration management. AWS has introduced new innovations to the market faster than any other cloud player. For example, AWS Lambda, a pioneer in serverless computing, letting developers run their code without provisioning or managing servers. Or Amazon SageMaker, one of my personal favorites, which is a fully managed machine learning service that empowers developers to use machine learning without expertise or experience in it. AWS has invested extensively in global availability zones and redundant networks, storage, and compute. No other cloud provider offers as many regions with multiple availability zones connected by low latency, high throughput, and highly redundant networking. With AWS, customers like yours can reduce downtime and ensure access to data with business continuity solutions. Based on a global study conducted across AWS customers, the reported benefits that organizations achieved is telling. 51% operational cost reduction over 5 years, 62% more efficient IT infrastructure staff, and 94% less unplanned downtime, and almost 3 times more new applications and features delivered. By deploying applications in the AWS cloud, our customers not only achieved cost savings and operational efficiencies, but also shifted resources to high impact, value-adding tasks to better deliver products and services to their customers. Globally, we have more than 1 million active customers. From Airbnb to Capital One, these companies are all using AWS cloud infrastructure because of our unmatched reliability, security, and performance. In Asia Pacific and Japan, customers across virtually every industry and of every size are increasingly leveraging AWS. They've leveraged technologies to build new business models, launch innovative products and services, and create new sales and customer engagement models. They are all reaping the rewards of going digital: faster growth, higher margins, and more business. So let's look at some of these companies. AWS helped a publishing company in Thailand support spikes in web traffic and ensured customers can access products easily and quickly. Jamsai is one of Thailand's renowned publishers of teen novels. The company wanted to strengthen its website's ability to handle spikes in traffic during promotional offers and marketing activities. It also wanted to provide its customers with quick and continuous access to its website. With AWS Cloud, Jamsai was able to support over 5,000 concurrent users without interruption. That's impressive. In addition, It's also saved 40% cost over 3 years and reduced time to market from 2 months to just a week. Another case in point is an e-commerce company called Mercides, which is based out of Vietnam. The company turned to AWS Cloud because it allowed flexible pricing and high availability. As a result of leveraging the AWS Cloud, Mercides was able to support up to 3 million monthly visitors with a latency of just 100 milliseconds, and all that with a lean team of 3 people to manage their cloud infrastructure. Let's look at some other examples. Let's look at one of my favorites because it's based here in Australia. It's close to my heart. So let's look at QuickMail. QuickMail is a 3PL logistics company that was relying on manual processes that couldn't keep up with the volume couldn't keep up with increased order volumes. QuickMail realized that it needed to digitize its workflows and automate its processes in a hurry. With AWS, it developed and delivered new digital solutions that invigorated QuickMail's daily operations, optimized its costs, and improved integrations with its business partners. If that wasn't enough, as a result, its customer base grew by 100% and its daily order volumes by over 500%. How is that possible? Let's look at one function that AWS touched, the order fulfillment process. The company used AWS serverless architecture to build QuickMail.com, an online platform that provides QuickMail customers with streamlined 3PL solutions. This new platform offers customers detailed information dashboards for visibility of stock and order status, dedicated software and customer support, and centralized data to facilitate fulfillment processes. As a result, QuickMail doubled its fulfillment business within 12 months. Our customers in India that have also implemented our solutions have reaped numerous benefits. For example, AWS helped Indian food and beverage chain Havmor migrate to SAP S/4HANA. Havmor was expanding rapidly and needed the ability to scale and the agility to support its expansion goals. AWS ensured a smooth migration and aided in application deployment quickly and easily without downtime for its customers. This is significant because Havmor have over 40 billing locations across India and a whole host of distributors who are using these billing systems. Any downtime would have resulted in business loss. So, how can you achieve these results? You can achieve these results and the benefits that customers on AWS are experiencing by leveraging these offers. You can get started with AWS services today with a complete set of free trials and other free services. These solutions are designed to get your hands-on experience of leveraging AWS for your most pressing business needs quickly and cost-effectively. You can explore more than 100 products, such as the ones listed here. We'd love to tell you more about how to get started and what each offer entails to help you experience AWS products before investing in them. Please feel free to reach out to us or the team at G-AsiaPacific with any inquiries about any of these pieces. If you're still wondering whether the cloud is the right strategy for you, here's something that can give you direction. For the cloud to be successful, you need to determine your objective of moving to the cloud. That starts with a top-down approach, right from the leadership teams. Everyone needs to be committed to the idea of the cloud for it to take off. Similarly, employees also need to familiarize themselves with the benefits, challenges, and outcomes of moving to the cloud. Start a discussion on the cloud roadmap for the organization and formulate a clear plan of applications and portfolios to move in the short, medium, and long term. This will help you get started, and we're always here to help. With that, I'd like to thank you all for your time and appreciate it and enjoy the rest of this event. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Megan. Hi, everyone. I'm Timothy, and I'm one of the project managers here at G-AsiaPacific. My role here in G-AsiaPacific does not only covers in managing projects or ensuring that all timelines for the project are met, or to ensure that stakeholders are happy with the project. But another role of mine is to help customers to have a smooth and better journey in terms of migration. Migration can come in various forms. It can come from your on-premise to cloud, or from cloud platform to another cloud platform. So today my topic will be covering mainly on the AWS migration journey. As we know, migration from on-premise to cloud or from cloud to cloud is not a smooth or an easy process or journey. To many of our customers, when there is migration involved, they will always view it as a complex or a difficult or a lengthy project. However, here in G-AsiaPacific, our goal is to help customers to have a smooth and better migration journey by using AWS. So here in G-AsiaPacific, together with AWS, we have developed a proper guideline or a proper planning for your migration journey. So let's dive a little bit deeper into the AWS migration journey. The AWS migration journey can be broken down of 3 different phases. And the 3 main phases of the migration journey is number 1, the assess phase. Number 2 is the mobilize phase. And third is the migrate and modernize phase. All these 3 phases consist of different and various activities that actually help each other on getting better information, getting a better data, getting a better migration plan, and so on. So before we dive in deeper to each of one of these phases, I would like to just run through a brief understanding or a brief high level of each of these phases. So as you can see on the screen here right now, on the left-hand side, there is the assess phase. The assess phase has certain activities or workshops or even immersion days to help customers to have a better understanding on whether a migration to cloud could be a possibility or what kind of challenges they would face. So as you can see, there is a CRT method, or another method will be called a migration readiness assessment. So these 2 are tools. The CRT is Cloud Adoption Readiness Tool. These 2 are tools that has been developed by AWS for our customers to able to have a better understanding of their current environment and how ready are they to move from their on-premise to the cloud. The CRT tool is able for our customers to have a very high understanding of whether they can move to cloud. With this basic tool, you can then speak to your stakeholders or even to your upper management on how ready the company is or how ready is the infrastructure to move to cloud. The migration readiness assessment covers areas such as people, process, technology, governance, and so on. This is to help the management or even the tech team or the technical team or the IT department to understand further how far are they away from achieving this migration, and also how can they identify what kind of gaps they have currently and what are the gaps they have when they want to move to the cloud, or to be specific, AWS cloud. Other than that, we can use 2 other tools. For example, what we see on the screen here right now, the TSO logic. Now they have named it to the AWS migration evaluator tool. This is a tool to help you to come up with your total cost overall analysis report. This is to help the management or to help the company as a whole to understand if you do want to migrate over to the cloud or to AWS to be specific, how much will it cost the infra on cloud. The costing on on-premise and the costing on the cloud is 2 different kind of costing. So normally for management, when they want to see a migration or such a large scale project, first thing in mind, they want to know how much will it cost them and how much cost can it be saved compared to running on-premise versus migrating it to the cloud. So in the assessment, not only do we cover that, we also cover briefings and workshops. And what these briefings and workshops does is that we interview or we have a very interactive session with our customer to help them understand a little bit better of the infra, and also for us, G-AsiaPacific and AWS to understand better on the infrastructure of the customer, and also to identify what kind of gaps, if you want to have your on-premise migrated to the cloud. And other than that, AWS also provides Immersion Day. Immersion Day is a day where AWS provides information, materials, training for our customers to understand more about AWS services. Because when you're moving to cloud, customers will be engaged with many various and also new AWS services, which may be very different or may be very new for our customers. So Immersion Day is a very helpful thing for our customers to understand better when migrating from the on-premise over to cloud. And once all this assessment is done, then we can create a case for change. Next, we will be looking at the mobilize phase. The mobilize phase consists of 4 different activities. From the first part and the next part at the bottom, you see another 4 different activities. So when we move to the mobilize phase, this is where we want to do our discovery and planning. Need to identify what kind of application, what kind of workload that you would want to migrate to cloud. Then we can create a landing zone. And then we can have a skill center of excellence. We can create a better migration experience. This is where we also build the business case. And this is when we have all these data collected. And once we process this data, this is where we can produce a migration plan. Once the migration plan is done, we can have an operating model, and we will also look into security and compliance. We understand that customers that wants to move from their on-premise to the cloud may face a lot of security and compliance challenges. Here in the mobilize phase is where we identify what kind of security challenges from migrating from on-premise to cloud, and also what are the different compliances that the customer has to meet, and we will map it out for on AWS, and then we present to our customer on how you can utilize the different security, and also how AWS has many different compliance on the cloud. So through all this, a proper migration plan can be presented or can be produced and can be presented to the customer's management level or to the company to itself. The final part is to migrate and to modernize. As you can see here in the migrate phase, there's 3 different layers. So I'll come more in depth into this part here, but for now, we can look at it as different phases of migration. We may not want to migrate everything as a whole. We may want to do it in phases. Once we solely migrate, then we let the application, or we let the whole infra operate for a while. While we operate for a short moment, maybe 3 months, then we can identify what kind of utilization, what kind of performance it has been done, and from there we can even modernize the infrastructure. Moving to cloud or migrating to cloud is not only a one step and finish, but once you move to the cloud, there are so many other AWS services that the customer can utilize. So when we mention modernize, it could be even implementing analytics into the customer's environment. We can also look into machine learning. We can look into so many other different technology nowadays that AWS service actually provide for our customers. So this is just the high level of the 3 different phases of the AWS migration journey. So I'm going to dive in deeper into each of these phases. So the first phase that I'll be diving deeper is the AWS migration journey assessment phase. So what you can see on the screen right now are step by step, or the different activities that here at G-AsiaPacific we will undergo with our customer. So in the left side of the screen, you can see we will gather customer data sources to have a better understanding of whether our customer can migrate to cloud, what can not be migrated to cloud, or what kind of resources are we looking at. This is where my team here at G-AsiaPacific, we will then have to gather customer data sources. Second, we will look at self-service and guided assessment. What we mean by self-service and guided assessment is, for example, the tool that I mentioned earlier, the CERT or the MRA tool. So here, The CART is a self-service tool. Customers can go online and they can do this tool themselves. Or we have the guided assessment, where we mentioned the guided assessment is we're talking about workshops. So workshops is where my team will engage with the customer to have an interactive session with the customer, go through a bunch of questions, have a very interview kind of questions to understand better of our customer's environment, so that we can collect further data and also to identify the gaps and to share if the customer has a huge gap in terms of migrating from on-premise to the cloud. And next is stakeholder conversations. This is also part of one of our guided assessment, but this is also to share as we go through the assessment what kind of data we see, we share with our customer, how can they use this data in terms of saying whether how ready are they to move to the cloud. And then we'll move to the second and third segment, which is the assessment focus. So over here, we want to ensure that you have your business capability is good. So we have the business capability assessment. We have the business value realization. People in terms of what are their roles and their readiness when they need to migrate to cloud. How ready are these people in terms of how well in terms of skill? Are they skilled enough to be able to handle what is on the cloud? And next is governance, technical capability assessment, platform such as applications and infrastructure, security, which is risk and compliance, and also for operations, hybrid and dynamic. So over here, we are looking at 8 different topics that we need to identify in this assessment, so that we can show what are the gaps or what are the challenges that our customer will face or may face when moving to the cloud. Not all applications are able to move to the cloud, and some infrastructure has to make some changes to adopt to the cloud. So therefore, we look at the operations hybrid. It could be a hybrid model. Some things may maintain on-premise, something may move to cloud, so then we can have a hybrid environment, or we can have a full cloud environment. So in this assessment focus area of these 8 different topics, this is where we'll be able to identify better for our customer. So once you've gathered all these requirements, resources, information, and data, then we can prepare a readiness assessment result. This is where we present to our customers on the very early stage. What kind of costs are they looking at? What kind of applications can they move to cloud? What will be the proposed architecture? Will it be hybrid? Will it be fully to cloud? So with all these data, we can propose to them a better understanding from your on-premise and how ready you are to move to the cloud. So when I mentioned the report or the result at the end of the readiness report, so what you see on the screen right now is actually a sample of what we will present to our customers. So first, we're looking at the executive summary. These are the areas or the topics that we will cover during our presentation at the end of the assessment phase. So first, we'll be looking at scoping, what kind of data we have collected, what is the duration of our data collection, and what is the result based on how many servers we assess. And then we'll provide what kind of insights where we assess your resources, such as, for example, what we can see here, maybe your environment has 8% of zombie servers. Next, we will also speak about the 92% of servers right size. And what we're talking about right size here is actually, for example, on-premise, if you have a 4 vCPU VM with a 16 GB RAM VM running on maybe on a single application, that application may not fully utilize those specifications. It may only maybe utilize 20% of the resource given to it. So when migrating to cloud, we do not do a one-to-one specification migrate, but we help you to do the right size, only using what you actually need to use for your application. And then we'll be looking at 40% server use, less than 20% of the time. So these are kind of reports they'll be able to provide to our customer on their on-premise, actually what is their utilization rate of their environment or their current infrastructure. Next, as I mentioned just now, the right size and optimized models. So this is where we provide to our customers a report from all your servers with the current specification. If you were to move to cloud, what is the right sizing based on the historical data that we have collected. And from there, we can identify how many percentage of savings that we can provide to the customer from migrating from on-premise to AWS cloud. And then we are looking also at how much are you looking per annual spending on AWS. The numbers, what you see here is just a sample number here. Moving forward, the final step is to show what, once we're done assessment, what is the next steps, So we're looking at server dependency, storage discovery analysis, and also for licensing health check. Next is also another screenshot of a sample report. So this is what you can see when I mentioned of the pricing and also the model of the pricing. So over here, you can see what the cost model. It could be a 1 or 3 years savings plan. Which region is this being right sized? And then we maybe from the 8% of the zombies, we're going to remove it away from the scope. Knowing that these servers are not in use. And then we also identify what kind of license, and then we optimize it and so on. So over here, you can see the pie chart and also the table form of how we actually identify and show you our results. Here, what you see is a financial overview, and what you can see here on the screen right now, we even can compare your on-premise cost estimate, it's just an estimate, versus our 4 different options of costs on AWS. On AWS, there's not only one cost on demand, but you can have like for example, like what I mentioned earlier, it could be a 1 year savings plan, or it could be a 3 years savings plan. So over here, you can see there's multiple options that we can provide to our customer on if they were to migrate to the cloud, what are the different kind of environment and what kind of different savings plans that we can provide to our customer. And this all being shown here on the screen, which is what we will present to our customer at the end of the assessment phase. Next, we'll be speaking about the second part of the migration journey, which is the mobilize phase. So here in the mobilize journey or the mobilize phase, once we gathered in the assessment phase, is all disconnected and also incomplete data. So although we can present to you or present to the customer some kind of report and cost and so on, it may not be a full complete migration plan. So this is where this phase is where we gather all these disconnected and incomplete data, and then we process it into a proper migration plan. So what you can see on the left-hand side of the screen here right now, we may have your asset inventories, we may have your performance information, maybe we have your app configuration data, we have your SLA, your architecture, and your CMDB. So all these data that we have alone may not be very useful by itself, but the team here at G-AsiaPacific, what we do is that we will undergo through a process of processing the data, understanding the data, and fixing each of these data together, matching them. It's like a puzzle of pieces that we need to match it into a whole bigger puzzle. And we can see the whole migration plan come into place. So, and let's come to the middle section, is where we then discover and organize your data. So once we discover and organize all this data, and then we'll move to the 7 R's. So the 7 R's consist of refactor, replatform, repurchase, rehost, relocate, retain, and retire. And from the bottom retire all the way up to the refactor is a level of effort that my team or the customer has to take into consideration. So retire being the lowest effort, and then followed by retain, relocate, rehost, repurchase, replatform, and refactor. Refactor being the highest level of effort, because then refactoring may include the customer or the vendor to be code the whole application from scratch again in order to match it to the cloud. And then we have replatform, repurchase, rehost, and of course retire will be the easiest, because if you can't move it to cloud, we just retire it and replace it maybe with another application. That will be the easiest level of effort. Once we identify your workload or the application, then we can put it into a migration plan. So you can think of this mobilize phase as a whole complete actually planning on the migration plan, getting all the data, all the disconnected and incomplete data, discovering what are they, and then organizing it into a better form, and then to run through the 7 R's, identify which workload needs what kind of R, and then it can be produced into a better migration plan. So the last phase that I'll be talking today is the migrate and modernize phase. So in this phase is where we do the migration from your on-premise to the cloud. So if you look at the left-hand side here, what we want to do is we want to adopt the most suitable pattern in terms of your migration plan. So migrating may not be just a one straightforward plan. There are many different patterns or different methods of migration. So based on the migration plan or based from the data that we have collected, we will then identify what would be the best possible pattern or method for our customer to migrate. And once we have identified it, then we will select the right AWS and tools to do it. In AWS, although we have many AWS services, but AWS has many different migration tools that can help our customer in this journey. So once we have a better understanding on which is a suitable method, we can select the right AWS tool to do the migration. And once we've identified that, then we'll do the migration for the application. And then we'll then track the application performance. And what we can see here on the right hand of the screen is migration waves. So moving back to the most left-hand side of the screen, where I mentioned the suitable patterns or the methods for migration, migrating a whole load of servers or one-time go may not be suitable and may not be ideal for certain customers. So we do break it down to different phases or different waves. So maybe the first waves can be the non-critical application or workload, and then slowly move on to the more critical application or workload. So this is to help the customer to be able to ensure that whatever that is moved to the cloud works perfectly fine, then slowly move on the rest onto the cloud, and then they will have a full complete infrastructure on the cloud running for their application and workloads. And this is not the end where I mentioned just migrate to the cloud. Once you migrate to the cloud, once you monitor the application performance, then you can enhance your infrastructure with so many different other AWS service out there, such as IoT, analytics, machine learning, and so on. So part of what we do here in G-AsiaPacific is that once we understand better in terms of the performance of the application or the whole workload or even the whole infrastructure over in the cloud, then we can propose some kind of new modernization into your application or to the customer's infra. It could be evolving or renewing the legacy system into a newer system, or to even improve customers, for example, data lake to have analytical AWS service to process those data to be a more meaningful data, or to even maybe create a dashboard to show all this data that's being stored in the data lake. So there are many different things that we can do for customers in this phase. So migration is not the end of the journey, but we can look more forward into the modernized part of the journey. So as I come close to my topic for today, these are the 3 different phases when we want to do a AWS migration for our customer. So first is the assessment phase, second is the mobilize phase, and third is the migrate and modernize phase. So our goal here at G-AsiaPacific is to ensure that we have the best practice, the AWS best practices, and we'll perform these 3 different phases for our customers, and to ensure that during these 3 phases, our customers have a smooth and better journey on the migrating from on-premise to the cloud. And that is all for today for my presentation. So now I'll pass it back to Yi-Ting.
Thank you, Timothy. So guys, here comes the most exciting part of our webinar, which is the exclusive promotions that G-AsiaPacific is offering to you who are joining our webinar today, which includes the free assessment, complimentary 2 months of AWS usage, as well as 3K credits for our service charges. Contact us to grab the offer and explore further. Thank you.